Right now on the National Weather Desk, utter devastation. Parts of Acapulco are in ruins after Hurricane Otis slammed into the Mexican city.
That building is completely destroyed.
Texas tornado. For the first time in 6 years, a twister strikes San Antonio.
Dude, this is bad.
We'll also go in depth to show you how tornadoes form.
And wind shear is what begins to get the winds spinning.
And find out why the warm weather temperatures in many places this fall are part of a larger trend, and the surfer who came face to face with a whale.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Well, a very good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Brian Vandegraff. Aid is slow to arrive in Acapulco, Mexico, 2 days after Hurricane Otis caused catastrophic damage. You can see from the devastation here from the sky. The Category 5 storm came ashore with 165-mile-per-hour winds, destroying buildings and toppling trees. It also created knee-deep mud on the resort city's main streets and in homes. And there are shortages of water, food, and fuel. At least 27 people died in the hurricane, and more than 300,000 homes still have no electricity. The city's municipal water system also went down during the storm. Brown floodwaters extend for miles, and debris is everywhere. As Gustavo Valdez reports, the focus right now is on getting help to the city's 1 million residents.
Getting to Acapulco is not easy because the highways are blocked by trees, debris, landslides. But once you get into the tourist area of Acapulco, you see images like that one behind me. Those two buildings that tell the story of what a Category 5 hurricane can do. That building is completely destroyed, save for the cinder block columns. There's no sign in some of those floors that anybody lived there. But if you see about the third floor up, there's some furniture there that tells us that somebody was actually living there. We have seen countless people dragging their luggage, trying to find a place that allows them to get back into an area where they can get food, water, or just try to get back to their cities. This is the front of those fancy hotels where people spend hundreds of dollars to come and enjoy some time off. It's completely ruined. Not only the front. Look up. Look at what happened to this building. You cannot even see any proof that anybody could have been living there. The people are telling us they are not getting help, they're not getting water, they're not getting food. We saw looting in some streets, in some stores. People were coming out. In most cases, they were just taking food, water, something to drink.
Man, devastation there. For the first time in 6 years, a tornado touched down in San Antonio, Texas. A man and his son were in their truck when they saw the tornado just across the road.
Oh, it's right here, Benicio. Oh, look. Dude, this is bad. We gotta go. Coming right at us, right? Coming right at us, dude. We gotta go.
They were able to safely drive away, and thankfully there were no serious injuries reported. But as Amanda Henderson reports, there is some damage.
Winds, heavy rain, and a tornado impacting areas across San Antonio. CPS Energy sharing these photos of damage they worked around the clock to fix.
I don't know where that aluminum came from.
Sylvia Garcia lives near Fort Sam Houston, where a tornado touched down in the area.
I heard that big bang. I thought a truck had banged into the house here on the side because we have Bill Miller's.
It wasn't a truck, but the severe weather definitely left its mark. And what did you see when you got to the backyard?
Yeah, come over here and see, Amanda. Well, the trash cans were turned over.
This is the tent. Was that ripped there before?
No. Look what it did to my honeysuckle. I'm just looking at it. It broke it off the entirely off the fence.
The National Weather Service did not issue any tornado warnings. Garcia says she and her grandson Matthew have a plan for these types of storms if they know they're coming.
Because of all the storms that we've had, nothing like today. It came out real fast.
We usually go to the closet.
In my bedroom.
Yeah, in her bedroom.
And we stuff it with pillows and flashlights and bottled waters.
The tornado touched down in Councilman Jalen McKee Rodriguez's district. He says his office got calls for Fairchild Park, cemeteries, and minimal outages.
It was the first bit of news that I think a lot of us woke up to.
As for the National Weather Service not issuing a warning or watch, the councilman says he expects to be briefed by the city and assistant city manager on the response.
And I think we're all, all of the different agencies involved are working together to investigate and figure out, how can we better communicate in the future.
That same system also spawned a tornado south of Austin, Texas. Abigail Velez has more from Caldwell County.
The National Weather Service confirmed a tornado hit northern Caldwell County. That's where the Two Wishes Ranch sits in Lockhart. A home at the very entrance of the ranch had the roof blown off, sending pieces of insulation into the street and nearby trees.
Obviously, this is kind of like a danger to people in the area, right?
Yeah, we have a crew coming already, and we got some of the ranch guys already coming out here to start helping us with the cleanup and trying to put it back together. So, I mean, we weren't expecting this today, but it's got to be done. So, one of those wires, it came off, so we're not sure if it was just kind of knocked off during the wind or what happened, but yeah, we have no power here.
The tornado also blew out windows at the ranch and tore down some gates that surrounded the property. Overall, it was thousands of dollars in damages, but no one was hurt.
The system also brought heavy rains to portions of central Texas, causing the Lower Colorado River Authority to partially open floodgates at 2 major dams. Andrew Freeman shows us the impact.
Yeah, I'm going to freshen these baits.
When it comes to fishing,
I love catching fish, but more so just love being on the water.
Tommy Dyke says the catfish bite best after a heavy rain.
You don't have a bait out there? You do, don't you? There's so much nutrients that get washed into the river, and the catfish are primarily feed by smell.
A heavy rain Central Texas desperately needed.
We're super happy about the rain. It was a brutal summer. Fishing was tough all summer.
Tommy and his friend Joseph were fishing underneath the Inlow Memorial Bridge, which was rebuilt after being washed away by flooding in 2018.
Oh my God, Excelsior, the bridge collapsed.
Luckily, there were no big flooding issues this time around, according to Llano County Emergency Management Coordinator Gilbert Bennett.
There was plenty of room in the reservoirs and the lakes to take on the water that we had.
He says a couple of county roads and River Park Drive were closed due to water on the roads, but there was only one minor incident involving a car that lost control in the rain.
You getting a bite, Joseph?
Tommy is thankful for the rain.
You get him?
The rain and fishing.
Here, let me get that for you. I'm grateful to be out here with a good buddy and grateful to be on the water. You know, I feel real fortunate to be able to do this.
Well, it's been a wet couple of months in New England, and that's not necessarily bad for the apples. But with rain nearly every weekend, pick your own apple orchards, well, they are suffering. Temitop Adelea is in Rhode Island with the latest.
On a nice fall day like today, apple picking is an ideal seasonal activity. But days like this have been hard to come by.
Well, we've had a lot of nice apples. We haven't had the nicest weekends. We've definitely missed out on a lot of people coming out to pick because every weekend seemed to rain a little bit.
Steer Orchard in Greenville has been here since the 30s, offering apples of all varieties to individuals and families wanting crisp and fresh apples. But the rotten weather is deterring the hundreds of people they usually see from coming out and picking apples.
A lot of orchards rely on people coming out to pick apples. It keeps us going year after year.
There are plenty of apples that are still waiting to be picked at orchards like Steer Orchards here in Greenville, and they're hoping that with this weekend's nice weather, more people will come out.
Looks like a great weekend. Everybody should go out to all the local orchards and get some nice apples before they're gone.
As if us caring for the earth weren't hard enough, a new study shows the stratosphere is becoming polluted. The report points to the burnup of satellites and rocket stages. It says that's put metal in about 10% of the stratosphere. It's aerosol particles. The researchers say that it's unlikely to impact the Earth, at least for now. A massive explosion in space has been detected. It is over 1 million times brighter than the entire Milky Way. The gamma ray explosion, witnessed by the James Webb Space Telescope and other observatories, is the second brightest ever witnessed in over 50 years. The burst created a kilonova, 2 neutron stars merging in a galaxy about 1 billion light years away. That's according to a study published Wednesday in the journal Nature. Well, coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll take a look at just how tornadoes form and show you the best ways to get rid of all those autumn leaves.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
A storm moved through Utah, leaving behind a dusting of snow on the Wasatch Mountains and forecasted nights below freezing. And these lenticular clouds were spotted Wednesday above the Tehachapi Mountains around Bakersfield as a cold front was moving in. This cool air relative to the area. Thursday's highs were 10 degrees lower than normal and hovered around 70.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
Well, earlier we showed you some video of tornadoes in Texas, and it takes several weather ingredients for a tornado to form. Let's turn now to meteorologist John Gum to find out exactly how it all happens.
So just how does a tornado form? Well, a lot of it has to do with winds, and winds at different levels and how they interact. First, we have the surface winds. These may come in from one direction or another, but the important thing here is the difference in wind speed and direction between these surface winds and the jet stream winds aloft. They're usually faster, and sometimes they're coming in from a different direction. And when you get this combination, we get something we call wind shear. And wind shear is what begins to get the winds spinning. So we get this column of air that is rotating. First of all, it's a horizontal column. It needs something to flip it vertically, and that something is instability and thunderstorm updrafts. Those winds, the warm, moist wind that goes into a thunderstorm, that the thunderstorm sucks that wind up just like a vacuum cleaner. Well, as that wind going up interacts with this rotating column of air, we flip it into the vertical, and we sometimes get what we call a wall cloud. You might notice this with a supercell thunderstorm. It's that low appendage that hangs down. Sometimes that cloud will actually rotate itself as that circulation spins around. And as that circulation spins down to the ground, we can get a tornado. Now, if it doesn't go all the way to the ground, it's a funnel cloud, but when it reaches the ground, that's when we have a tornado. And that's when we get a tornado warning. Tornadoes, one of the deadliest forms of weather that we see in the United States. And we get more tornadoes in the U.S. than any other part of the world.
Well, it has been a warm start to fall in many parts of the country. And this weekend, we could see record highs in some parts of the East Coast. As Maine meteorologist Emily Santom explains, a study found those rising temperatures are part of a national trend.
We'll see about 96% of all the 241 U.S. locations that were analyzed had an increase in temperatures, and that specifically is down in the Southwest, parts of the Midwest of the U.S., and if not all of New England. And speaking of New England, right here in Portland, Maine, we've had an average increase of temperature by 3.5 degrees, and 1/3 of those 241 locations have warmed by 3 degrees or more. So back in 1970, our average temperature was around 48 degrees. Fast forward a couple of years to 2022, just a little bit over 51 degrees. And just to add on to that as well, we've had 18 plus days, so more warm fall days above the normal temperature. We've increased from about 30 days above normal to around 48 degrees above normal. So warm falls actually increase the intensity and length of the allergy season, plus the mosquito and the growing season.
With those warmer temperatures, you might find yourself outside more during sunrise and sunset. Most people think this is when the sky has the most color, but did you know that just before the sun comes up and just after it sets actually gives you more sky color? Meteorologist Tara Blake explains.
Did you know those beautiful colors ahead of a sunrise and after a sunset have a name? In the morning, it's called civil twilight or civil dawn. It's the period of time in which the atmosphere is partially illuminated by the sun. That's about 20 to 30 minutes before your actual sunrise. And by degrees, that would be 6 degrees below the horizon. For the evening, it's known as civil dusk. And that's the moment when the center of the sun is 6 degrees below the horizon in the evening hours.
Beautiful. Well, we're finally at the part of fall where the leaves are covering the ground and falling fast. But raking leaves into streams and lakes or burning them is not really the best way to get rid of them. Meteorologist Heather Bricka shows us what you should do with your leaf piles.
Chances are you have hundreds of dead leaves covering your lawn, and you're just waiting for the rain to stop to rake them up.
The challenge is, the leaves just come down so fast, for most of us at some point that the mowers just can't handle it.
But what are you supposed to do once you get the leaves in piles?
What we recommend is, if you have the property and space, is compost them instead. You actually don't need a lot of space to do that. You can make a very simple compost bin out of reclaimed pallets, or I've even seen people do it with snow fence, which is a really cheap way to do it. And it's pretty effective.
Burning leaves is not a good option because it's dangerous to the environment.
Burning leaves does add more carbon to the atmosphere. It's an easy way to get rid of them, but it's not necessarily environmentally friendly. And with a lot of the complaints that we get sometimes, it's also not necessarily friendly to neighbors, right? If they don't like the smell of burning leaves.
Michigan Department of Natural Resources says leaving the leaves is another great option. From chipmunks to toads and insects, they live in the leaf layer of the forest, but it's not good for the grass.
Most of the turf grasses need sunlight, and so you either need to blow or rake, or you can, if you have a mulching mower, chew them up and leave them, cut it high and let it lie.
Oak trees are one common tree we have in northern Michigan. Some people may think that oak trees do not compost, but according to High Day, the leaves take extra time to decompose.
We would encourage people to reuse them as best you can. And again, it depends on the person, the situation, the equipment you have. There's lots of different options.
The important part of getting rid of your fall foliage properly is so that it doesn't end up in our landfills.
A crazy caught on camera moment you have to see to believe as a windsurfer captures a crazy collision with a flying whale. Yes, a whale, plus a rare baby penguin birth. Here's Jeremy Roth.
An incredible close encounter has left an Australian windsurfer with a whale of a tale to tell. In a blink or you'll miss it moment, Jason Breen, windsurfing off the coast of Sydney, is suddenly wiped out by a massive breaching whale. A slow-mo replay does justice to the amazing moment. But make no mistake, it was a scary moment as well, as the airborne collision left the 55-year-old sportsman trapped underwater. It was only when his arm strap snapped that he was able to make his way to the surface. Back on land, the folks at SeaWorld San Diego were blessed with a rare encounter of their own, the first birth of an emperor penguin chick in 13 years. Hatched on September 12th, the park says the chick is gaining weight steadily on a diet of fish and fish milkshakes. They're also asking the public for help in naming this little cutie. Emperor penguins are currently listed as a threatened species, and SeaWorld San Diego says they are the only zoo in the Western Hemisphere where the species can be found.
And before we take a short break, let's take in some fall colors from over Oregon.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Well, we're going to be treated to a full moon just in time for Halloween. This weekend, we'll see something called a hunter's moon. Meteorologist Natalie Walters explains what it is and how it got its name.
October's full moon is right around the corner, which is perfect timing because it is the weekend before Halloween. This full moon is called the Hunter's Moon, and it will officially become full at 4:24 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, October 28th, but it will appear full throughout the weekend, making it a spooky sight to see. Now, it's believed that this moon gets its name because this is the time of the year that animals begin to fatten up to get ready for winter, and this full moon would light up the night sky for hunters to be able to see those animals.
If you're looking for more content like this, be sure to check us out on social media, where we post the latest from our teams of meteorologists all across this nation. You can find us on all your favorite platforms. Just search for the National Weather Desk. You can also check out our podcast, Off the Radar, where we talk with experts about all things weather, the environment, even space. New episodes drop every Tuesday. You can find Off the Radar anywhere you listen to podcasts. In fact, this week's yours truly is on there too as well. We're back with more right after this. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Brian Vandegraff. Make it a great Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. And we hope to see you back here on Monday.